I finished another film score recently. Basically the other week I was working on a film score for The Right Room, and it's an interesting kind of science fiction short film, and I thought what would be one of the nice touches put in the soundtrack was to basically rip off Hans Zimmer's wonderful Inception soundtrack, which is a great album in its own right, and it's a nice film too, but you know, the soundtrack, I mean, is one I've been listening to quite a lot. A few months ago I was really intensely listening to it while I was working my day job, so it's a very nice soundtrack, and I really like the bit that he does at the end, in a track called Time, at the very end, how he ends the album. He plays this really soft piano melody, and then he plays the piano sound in reverse, so it goes ding, ding. So it's going forwards and then it's going backwards in a kind of reverse echo kind of a thing. So I thought, you know, that would be a nice thing to try and steal from. So I've got my piano samples. You know, everyone has their own. This is one I'm happening to be using for this particular soundtrack. So let's see how to do it. Okay, so this is Reason and Record. I've just loaded up a piano patch here from that box I was just showing you. So you know, here's a nice piano card. Okay, so let's go into the sequencer and record this. Let's find a nice tempo. Okay. So it's very basic, not really much happening there. I'm going to quantize this to make it easier to work with, which I know defies like the whole point of what I've just done, but well. Actually, let's quantize this to a bar to make it even easier. Great, okay, so each note should start exactly on the bar now. Perfect. So now that we've got all the notes that we're after, we can now bounce them to an audio track, which is pretty straightforward in Record. I have no idea how Hans Zimmer himself did this, but this is a really easy way that I do it. We choose what it is we want to bounce, and we do it before applying effects, bounce it into the actual song itself, and it just renders it out, which only takes a few seconds because, you know, hardware is so fast these days and this software is pretty efficient. Oh, that's my mistake. I should have said to do it between the actual loop points, not the whole song, because mostly this is silence. So now it's rendering out just those notes as audio and putting it in a new track. There we go. Take off that so I don't get lots of nasty feedback. And we'll just normalise it to make it as loud as possible without distorting or clipping. Okay, so if I mute out the original piano, we can just hear the copy I made. I'll also take off the first bar because that's just silence anyway. And we'll finish the song there. You don't really need to hear the whole thing, you can tell, you know, it's an exact copy. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the razor tool and we're going to slice around just the part that we want, like that. Again, it's quantizing to the bar, so we don't really need to, you know, be too fancy about making sure we very carefully pick the right part. Everything's so easy these days with automated technology. This would have been so difficult with audio tape. Right, so now we've got this particular part of the waveform in isolation. We just reverse it. And we don't actually need the rest at all, so we can either mute them with the mute tool, or we can just take them out entirely. So now we've just got the parts we're interested in reversed. So if we add the original piano back in, we now get this combination. Obviously I've got that a bit louder than the rest, so you spend a while mixing it in properly. But that's the gist. That's how I managed to steal a nice idea from Zimmer. Hope he doesn't mind.